Hey, Mark.
And this is 39 take 3.
Hey, camera rolling, Mark. Set. And action. You're on camera now. Don't be a pussy. You can do that, right, David?
I can't believe he said that, man.
The only person I could really convince about this movie, about me doing Daredevil, was myself, to be honest. I mean, I knew I could do it. And I had to convince my wife and my friends and my partner, Gary Foster, and everybody I knew who also weren't sure if I could do it, quite frankly.
And cut. Great. Print that. Got that.
Fairly, the studios were saying he'd never done a movie like this before as a director. Maybe we could get some A-list guy. And they were, you know, I put myself in their shoes. It's not an unfair thing to be thinking.
Gary's a pest. Foster. Single-mindedly, initially really out of his friendship and loyalty to his partner, to Mark. But then he became a geek himself and got caught in the excitement.
Chris Columbus developed Daredevil for a while at Fox, and Avi had a relationship with Chris, and you know, Mark Steven Johnson, who's that?
I remember Gary at one point said to me, "Just give up. You're not really going to keep trying." And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to go try it again." He was just like, "Jesus, man, move on, do something else."
As passionate as he is, it still needs a consensus, a group of people that are willing to say, I support this. So I was pretty, and I felt, you know, again, Mark Steven Johnson, Chris Columbus. Let's be honest. There's no way on the surface you're going to gravitate to the unknown.
People would always say the same thing, he's blind. They'd always go, "How can he do what he does?" And I'd explain, and they go, "I don't know, it's pretty goddamn weird. A guy dresses up like a devil, and he's a blind lawyer, you know?"
The biggest challenge is to look at the studio in the eyes and say to them, "Trust me." Why? Because it lasted for 40 years in the books.
In adapting the comic to the movie, there's always like a couple of things that every filmmaker's got to face. One is the fans, and I'm one of them. And, you know, this is like my mythology, and these are the guys that I worship and I respect. And that's probably always been my biggest concern, is making sure the fans feel satisfied. At the same time, the non-fans will understand it. And the second thing is always the costume. Always, always the toughest thing to crack.
This is the end. This is how it ends, folks. This is how and where. Good run. Decent career. Had fun. Had some pride at one time.
We're going to reproduce your body totally, and they're going to sculpt on it.
Right.
And then we're going to take molds off of that. So whatever we make will fit your body. Okay, so it's like a personal suit. It just fits you, nobody else.
It's a living, you know what I mean? It's a good living. I know. Am I getting paid for today?
This is a very, very tricky area when it comes to costumes and superheroes. How far can you go without looking silly? You know, I had to go find an actor who was willing to put on a devil costume and run around New York City. I mean, that's a pretty risky thing. You know, it really takes balls to do something like that, because the chance of looking ridiculous is very, very high.
You see if the front half tweaked a little bit, out and the back half tweaked a little bit in, then they would match up when we put the
It
mold
would really
two
be
halves
hell
together.
If you did the top and the bottom together.
That would be painful.
Whoa.
That is a trip.
There you go. You sure you want to take it?
Can I take a shower, guys?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
My first image with Mark Steven Johnson was him presenting me with a very beautiful maquette, a small sculpt of DareDevil, and saying, I want it to look like that. And I thought, great, this we can do. Within a week, I got these frantic phone calls saying, the concept has to completely change. We don't even think we want it to be red. We certainly don't want it to have horns. They're freaked out that it might look too much like Spider-Man.
So all of this were the initial research for the red of DareDevil. Material, spandex, leather, net, made up, all the different techniques we could do, all the different faux techniques we could do of the pleated leather, the textured leather, silk screen, hand painting, as well as just figuring out what DareDevil's red is. We went through every shade of red there was.
I can tell you that I once was driving along a freeway and I took a call from a group of executives sitting in a projection theater, winding a test piece of film backwards and forwards and having a 40-minute conversation about the color red. That's how crazy it got.
We're working on DareDevil's mask, which is a leather covered piece of vacuform that's made up in black first and then sort of dry brushed red, and then from there we'll take it and age it throughout the movie.
This is the Ben final sculpt that's done in plaster and then drilled out so that they can vacuform and have the vacuform pull down onto the plaster, and you end up with not something like that we trim out, and then this then is covered in leather.
Mark Steven Johnson's ability to cope with the vagaries of and changes of opinion on this movie was remarkable. I'm so impressed with this young guy who can absorb that kind of pressure.
And at some point you just feel like, you know, you're fucking Joan of Arc and you're hearing the voices. You're going insane. And there's a certain point in the process where I had to say, guys, everybody talk together and then come to me with thoughts. Because I have so much going on. There's so much to do. I cannot satisfy and listen to all these different opinions.
Oh yeah, that's
Okay.
we thought rather than
And then
putting
the
lights
elbow?
over the top. Pardon?
But you like the elbow
I
pad.
quite like the elbow pad. I thought it was too thick.
This is too thick and too much, too bubbly.
Glued, and it's riveted to the sleeve just below the muscle, so that the whole thing looks as though you shove. It's giving it a whole reason for pulling the sleeve up.
I think you should, I don't know, I think
Just
they should
cut
be
'em
cut off and just have them end and do something, I don't know, I just think, when these start rolling up, whenever we see guys in leather jackets that roll them up,
I guess what we were trying to do was to get this idea to work, this idea of something that you yanked up for even higher.
yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
So are you saying you don't want any of that?
No, I think that we can still have some structure in this and go into the elbow pad, but I don't think that you have a big old system to hoist up his sleeve. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Then he's just like, wow, it's really hot in the kitchen. Whew, dying. This is great, you guys. Really badass. Really great.
It's a collaboration when you're making a movie, especially when you're designing these kinds of characters. So the studio has a point of view, and other producers have a point of view, and the costume designer has a point of view, and the actor has a point of view. So we went through quite a series of ideas. Is Daredevil traditional? Is he completely untraditional? There was a conversation at one point, maybe he's a guy just wears a sweatshirt and jeans and he's just, on the street as a vigilante thug. Obviously, Mark was ready to pull his hair out, but he had to go through this process because everybody had to download their ideas.
By the end, there were people screaming about why are there wrinkles? Why doesn't he have a thick neck? Why isn't it redder? Why aren't the horns bigger? For somebody who supposedly is the man without fear, there was an awful lot of frightened people around.
I would say realistically we spent about 7 or 8 months going through it. Ultimately, for the good of the movie, and I know Mark is happy about it, ultimately everybody realized that the traditional look of Daredevil had to be maintained.
That's the original location photograph. I'm just going to quickly show you how this painting started out.
This is the model of the downtown section, the historic section of downtown LA that's being mocked up for Daredevil for Hell's Kitchen. So this is going to play as New York City Hell's Kitchen. And what we've done is we've added water towers, what we've been using between Broadway and Spring Street of downtown Los Angeles and 5th and 6th. And we've added water towers because there aren't a lot of water towers here in Los Angeles, as we know, so we had to sort of mock up the skylines to make it look like downtown New York.
I'm working on a rooftop scene that is going to be built actually on stage, and it's where a fight sequence takes place with Daredevil. And the way we went about this is we built it in just rough shapes in a 3D program called Strata under Kirk Petricelli's direction, along with Mark Steven Johnson. The black is representing what we've got to use and fill as a backing. And what you see in these rough gray shapes is what's going to be built on set. And that's the shot.
Zoom in on Daredevil walking down the stairs very menacingly.
Speed. Ready? And action.
Here's the reality of the situation. We started this with a 61-day first unit schedule and a 28-day second unit schedule. It's not realistic when you have performance and when you have actors doing stunts that you're going to get a first unit done in 61 days.
For me, especially, I'm already struggling because I've never made a movie this size. They wanted everything, but they didn't want to give us the days. And so what would happen is we would just get days as we needed them as we went, but was always that kind of pressure and threat of you're going over what was an unrealistic schedule to begin with.
3, 2, 1, swing!
Well, I play Jose Quesada, and he is this sleazy, slimy, greasy, suave, sort of, I want to say horrible other bad words, but, we'll keep it PG anyway.
I said, what do you want?
And I do some horrible thing to some woman, and, my relatives have to see me do these things. It's not easy. But he's the first to go. It's probably going to be my most glorious death.
I played a photojournalist in a movie called The Mean Season with Kurt Russell and Andy Garcia, Mariel Hemingway. 1983, and actually Gary Foster, the producer of this movie, his father, David Foster, produced The Mean Season, and Gary was a second PA first. It was actually not even a second, he was a PA. We all know what PAs do. PAs work very hard, get very little. and get all the blame when they screw up.
Got it. Tail marker. Kind of a single to here. You know what I'm saying?
Fast. 这个 department 就一点点 it's very tight. So give it small. Okay. Good. Ready and action.
I spent all of last year learning to fight, learning just the smallest bit of how to perform martial arts for the camera. Immediately I knew that I wanted to train with whoever they would have training Ben for this movie, and in this case it was Master Chen Yan and his wire team from Hong Kong. And also, so that was actually my absolute initial first response was, oh, how fun to do these fights and work with somebody great and work really hard and be focused on just fighting.
And action. Why don't you tell me what you do like? We'll start there.
Chen Yan is here, who did Charlie's Angels and who just finished working with his brother on Matrix. And they're here to incorporate a little bit of their ideas.
这个就是他们练的时候呢，我都怀疑他们会有没有这个练不练得成。可是练下来了，他们还很容易那个上手啊，就也是蛮聪明的。
外侧，好，外侧 ，great, yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
Jennifer, you're hooked up.
I feel that I
There
we go. Okay, should I go ahead and just shoot?
预备，1、2、3。
Ah! You gave up on me, Pommy.
I
You shrieked in terror.
1、2、3。
Don't burst into laughter.
We were pretty serious about this fight, and actually, we did every bit of it. The stunt doubles didn't step in, even for an insert. It's all us. Every last flip and kick and every bruise that went along with it.
Yeah, how do you feel? I want to flip. I'm ready to go.
You know, wearing the wire rig sort of feels like you'll never be able to have children in the future. It holds you up. You're holding your whole body weight essentially by your sort of waist and between your legs and your inner thighs, and it cinches you in there. And it's great because, you know, adoption is a route that I am okay with, you know, and I've thought about. So that's where this picture leaves me.
Hey Ben, everything in that one was perfect. Just the arms split up like this as you were landing. That's the only thing I'm saying. Okay, come on. Cut. You don't want to break? No, let's just go. Okay.
这个就也是尽量而已，不过就是痛肯定没办法的，肯定会有的。可是尽量怎么避免它的垫一些护垫啊，这样尽量让它舒服。
The Chinese, you know, the wire team, the Chinese guys, who are who are phenomenal, mad. You know, I've seen their tapes, because what they do is they choreograph the fight scene and they shoot it in a gym, and then they take the tape and they show it to Mark and go, this is what we think the fight should be. So you get these guys in their tracksuit gear in the gym on wires, and they're doing all this stuff, like the foot will come in and they're shooting themselves in the handy cam and be like, what?
DareDevil was to have a style of fighting, it really would be the unknown, because he has this great skill in him, but he uses what he uses at the time. Combination of street fighting, Jailhouse Rock, hand fighting from various kung fu styles, boxing styles, capoeira, which is a Brazilian art.
It is like this.
DareDevil, the guy that when he's fighting, he'll get hit, but he will come back from it.